fight. We don't have to kill. Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill. No, we don't have to fuss, no, we don't have to...
Hey, welcome to episode 5 of Just Chill with Oliver George. Still rocking the new camera setup, and the guest today is none other than Michaela Chung.
Hey.
The camera should be on you now, so...
Great to be here.
I met you doing comedy, but I only recently realized that you're somewhat new to comedy, like a year or so you were saying in one of your videos.
Yeah, like almost a year and a half.
So that's the thing, is you seem to be into a lot of other stuff that I didn't know about. Like you're into dancing. You've got a lot of followers on YouTube. I was very impressed.
With my introvert channel, I'm guessing. Yeah.
So that's the main sort of push of your YouTube channel, right? Is helping introverted people.
Yeah, that's what I do for a living. So that's,
okay.
I also, it's kind of separate, I guess. I started a YouTube channel to post more like everything about myself other than introversion and a little bit of comedy. But yeah, I've been doing what I do for a long time. So
that explains all the followers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just really impressed. I mean, one of your videos had like 75,000 views. Like, good Lord.
Yeah, wow. Even when I look because I don't check that often. I haven't been posting on that channel regularly, but yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's impressive, but I don't.
It must feel good. I mean, I was going to ask, like, partially it's got to be time, right? Just putting out a lot of content over a long period of time, it's eventually going to work to a degree, I would think. But beyond that, though, like, what would you say is a good way to cultivate viewership if you are, say, aspiring to get subscribers and that kind of thing? Because I have like 28, so you know.
Yeah, I think, well, in my case, having a really niche topic that is also in demand. I mean, when I started writing about introversion, the book Quiet had just come out by Susan Cain, and it became a bestseller, and it's kind of started a movement but there weren't a lot of websites about introversion, so there are all these people interested in introversion, but not a lot of content. So that is kind of the magical recipe, right? Because if there aren't that many people doing it, so that's why it's hard if like everybody's doing the same thing. Like you could do a comedy channel, but it's like easier if you have like a specific angle, specific point of view. And even, I try to have like edgier titles or titles that I know people are like, they're just very clickable. Yeah. The typical SEO.
Well, no, one of them I saw was like, I have a secret or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, that instantly makes you want to click it and be like, what's the secret? You know? Right. No, that's cool though. It's very clever because I feel like, I was telling you on the way here, I kind of suck at the social media side of things. I know that it's something that's kind of necessary to make it, but I just find I wish I wasn't even on my phone as much as I already am. You know what I mean? So the idea of going and like posting a bunch of stuff, it feels like mind numbing sometimes.
Yeah, but you like with my social media for work, I just I use a scheduling app, just do it all at once.
Okay.
Like do the posting for the week at once. Yeah.
Okay, that's smart. Yeah.
Easier.
Be really rigorous about sticking to that. Yeah. That makes sense. With the introverted stuff, I watched one of your videos where you were saying that people had been asking you like how you can classify yourself as an introverted person when it would seem that you do somewhat extroverted activities, be it, stand-up comedy or even just having a YouTube channel and welcoming people into your life like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I've obviously heard the term introverted extrovert or extroverted introvert or whatever. And I sort of feel like that sometimes too. So I just kind of wanted to hear your description of, why you consider yourself an introvert.
Yeah, and this is something that comes up so much. People mistake introversion for shyness. But introversion and shyness are two different things. You can be introverted and shy. You can be extroverted and shy because shyness has to do with a fear of something. So a fear of social interactions, a fear of public speaking, a fear of getting on stage. And introversion has to do with where you get your energy from. And also, introverts' brains are even wired differently. We have more gray matter. We have longer neural pathways. So we just tend to communicate differently. We tend to be overstimulated more easily. So socializing and making conversation is actually really stimulating, right? You're using a lot of parts of your brain. You're processing a lot of information. So introverts want to be alone more because of that. So because we're losing energy, we're getting drained, so we want to be alone. So I like people for the most part. I should say I like some people, but I do need more time alone, and I'm not afraid of performing. Just like anybody else, I'll get nervous.
Yeah.
But it's just separate from introversion, you know?
Well, that's what I was sort of thinking is you could be an introvert, but still have that laser focus for that one thing you really want to put your efforts towards and kind of block everybody out, in a sense, being super introverted, you know, like just ignore the audience, ignore everybody, just do your thing. That's very introverted in a way, you know, while you're doing a sort of something that looks extroverted. So I was going to say more like, how do you handle the green room? Is that like more of where you would find your introverted nature coming out, when you have to just like talk to random ass people? Sometimes they're not.
Yeah. Well, again, it doesn't really have to do with not being able to talk to people. I do find like it's just like an equation, you know, for introverts, a certain amount of hours or minutes of socializing is just going to be more draining.
Interesting.
So I have to
need to recharge your battery more, kind of.
Exactly. So I have to consider that. I do, like, if I'm doing more stand up, it is more draining for me. The whole experience of it is more draining, especially if I'm nervous. It's just like, because it really it stimulates your nervous system so much, right? So I think I need more recovery time. But I'm not really like, especially in the green room, the thing about comics is a lot of comics are introverts.
True, yeah.
And I like being with comics because there's not a lot of small talk. They tend to just like say whatever.
Yeah. They don't beat around the bush. Yeah.
Which for introverts, that's what introverts don't like, is a lot of small talk. So
that's interesting, because I've never thought of myself as an introvert, because I always try to engage people and I like talking. But now the way you're describing, I'm like, maybe I am kind of an introvert, because I feel like I'm outgoing for sure, but I also like my privacy too. Mm-hmm. And I assume that has to do with being an introvert to a degree.
Yeah, wanting that alone time. And a good way to tell is, you know, if you go to like a 2-hour social event where you don't know a lot of people, like, how do you feel afterwards, and how much time alone do you need afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do always need some time to kind of cool off. Like, especially if I work overnight sometimes at the hospital, and any shift really. I love just being alone for like 3 hours, especially if I'm supposed to try to go to sleep after. Just I need that unwinding time to, like, you know, smoke a joint by myself and maybe like work on a craft or something, just to have my own space. So I guess, I just never really thought about it in that context before, because I always just instantly labeled myself as an extrovert because of the types of things like this, you know, doing a podcast. You must be an extrovert.
Yeah.
But now you've made me reconsider. It's interesting. Okay, so one thing that, again, I thought was extroverted, but now I'm reconsidering is you're into dancing. And you do salsa, you were saying, mainly?
Yeah, I used to be obsessed. I'm one of those people who has like hobby obsessions, and I'm just like
that too,
all the way in for a long time until I'm done, and then I do move on.
Yeah.
Right now it's kind of stand up, but
I thought you did a dancing thing not that long ago. I thought I saw on Facebook.
I still do it, but not obsessively. Like, I used to do it. I used to perform and compete, and I would dance like 5 nights a week, like go out social dancing, take classes. I was part of a team that performed.
Don't need to go to the gym then, pretty much, right? I would assume that's enough
Not
of a
really.
workout. Yeah.
No, it was a good workout. But now I just do it like, I was at a special event that I emceed,
nice.
the salsa convention in Ottawa. But now I'll do it like a couple times a month. I'll go to special events.
So how did you get into salsa, though? Was that something that someone sort of thrust upon you, like a family member? Or is it something you were just like, I want to do this. It looks cool.
Thrust upon me.
Well, you know, sometimes like your parents are like, you're going to sign up for basketball because I like basketball, you know?
Yeah. Well, not quite like that. But actually, it was something my mom and I did together when I was younger.
Okay.
She was really into ballroom dancing.
Oh, nice.
So I started taking ballroom dancing when I was little for a few years. And then when I was in high school, she got into salsa dancing. And then it was easy for me to just kind of go and follow along.
Yeah, especially after the ballroom stuff. You must have kind of a framework for following a lead and dancing in a pair and stuff like that.
Yeah, so cool. then I got more into it after that.
Salsa seems much more intense, though, than ballroom dancing. I would. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but salsa always looks like really, or maybe I'm thinking the tango. I don't know.
Salsa is definitely more like hip movement, wiggly.
It's like Shakira kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for me, dancing's been kind of a weird. I was telling you about this, but I was the guy my whole life that every time I was in a dancing scenario, it felt like I was at a grade 8 like dance, too nervous to like, you know, make an ass of myself in front of my friends or whatever. I think that was something that must have happened when I was younger, and it just stuck with me, and I would just avoid dances like the plague. And then when I met my fiance, Kelly, I had gotten divorced, and we had been together, I want to say a year or two at this point. And we went to a wedding, and obviously alcohol was involved, but it was also more just like, I felt so comfortable with her, and I was like, oh, well, at the end of the night, like, we're going together to go home together and, you know, be a couple. And I was just so happy that I didn't give a fuck anymore about like looking stupid or whatever. And then when I got into it, I was like, oh shit, I'm actually a fucking good dancer. Like, and I'm not just saying that. I've had like many people attest to that, but I was like, it makes sense. I play music, I have rhythm. Like it was just the fear that was holding me back, just the overthinking it and just not letting you feel the body, you know?
And musicians are usually better dancers because rhythm's a huge part of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. If I feel that's one thing I have noticed is we try to go out dancing, you know, at least a few times a year when we can get a babysitter and all that. And in Ottawa, it's not that easy. It has to be like a Friday or a Saturday to find anywhere, first of all. If you try and find a place to dance on like a Tuesday night, at least in our experience, not that easy. And then I've noticed that if the song is not something that I'm into, I can't fake it. I just can't fake it. And that's, maybe some people can, but over-processed music, I like something real, like James Brown or something with like real soul in it. And like, you can feel live bands are way better too, in my opinion, than trying to rock out to a DJ. Not to shit on DJs. But.
Yeah, so true. I don't enjoy going out dancing, like club dancing, unless I like dancing to hip hop and like old school, you know, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, we just went to a thing at House of Targ that was this band doing all 90s stuff, and it was like the funnest night ever.
Yeah.
The dance floor was like the perfect size, you know. Sometimes they're too big, sometimes they're too small. This was just right. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, no, live band's the way to go, I think, too, because DJs, they butcher songs sometimes. Like, we went to a karaoke thing, and it was pretty cool for the first half, and then the DJ just went crazy playing stupid shit, and it made me so upset because they were doing Hey Jude by the Beatles, and they had remixed it where it was like, you know, fucking air horn. I was like, oh my God, John Lennon's rolling in his grave right now. Like,
yeah, it's annoying because often they'll start with good music, well, my opinion of good music, and then they'll move into like electronic and mixes.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of remixes and stuff. Or like the Heart and Crown. It's a great place. They have a live band. It's good for dancing. But then when the live band takes their breaks, they switch to completely different music. And that's the part I don't understand. Not to shit on like any kinds of music, but that's weird. You have like this live band playing like Bryan Adams songs, and then they switch to like Getting Crunk or something. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make
sense. Who are you trying to, yeah. Anyways. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, anything on your channel, I'm assuming we can talk about, right? Anything you've already posted?
Yeah.
Because the Mormon stuff, very interesting to me. You were, like, married really young, right? And you were, I'm assuming it had to do with the church stuff?
Yeah, I wasn't raised Mormon, but I joined the Mormon church, so the Church of Latter-day Saints, when I was 19. And, yeah, and then I got married, like, a year and a half later.
But it was like related to the church, someone you had met through the church?
Someone I met through the church who was like born and raised like hardcore Mormon, came from a family of 7 kids. So yeah, I had a very different lifestyle back then. Like I was all about the cardigans and, you know.
Did you have to like do the knocking on people's doors and trying to recruit or whatever they call it?
No, that's actually, Jehovah's Witnesses do, like, I guess anyone in the church can do that, but Mormons, it's usually the young guys who will actually go on a mission.
It's usually 2 boys on bikes or something, right?
Yeah,
in all the
wearing
movies
suits.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they actually usually come from another country or at least another city, and that's their mission for 2 years. That's like what they do mainly for 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always found that kind of weird with Jehovah's Witnesses too. Not to disparage anyone's religion choices or anything, but the idea of like trying to recruit people always seemed kind of sinister to me. And but I think in their hearts they're doing it because they're like saving people, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like soliciting at the same time, so it's a weird.
Yeah, and for some people, it's like for me, I have no regrets. It was 4 years of my life. I've had a lot of diverse experiences and I have lots of material for stand up now, and that's just one of them,
for sure. Know? I mean, you seem like a down to earth, well rounded person. Like it's all worked out for the best, it seems. But
yeah,
it's still interesting. That's like, how do you just get into that? Like you weren't religious growing up at all, or?
Well, we didn't go to church really, but my mom like had Christian beliefs and she would teach us about Jesus and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you had some of that.
And then I, in high school, sought out a church because I was always drawn to, I had this idea that church was like a place, this glowing place where everyone's happy. And my family life was like a little bit more like I was primarily raised by a single mom. But of course, single moms are rarely single. So, there was like, a boyfriend or I had a stepdad for a while, but just not always the most stable. So church to me was like stability.
A family, like that community feel. Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people go to church, honestly. It's that unified kind of feeling. But it still seems kind of interesting that at like 19, when most people are like, gonna go do their wild 20s shit, you're like, I'm gonna get married and become super Mormon.
Yeah, because I was already in a Pentecostal church for 4 years at that time. So all through high school, I had like found a church, and I was, so I was already religious, and I was just like the missionaries came to my door, and they were really hot. One of them in particular was really good looking. So I was like, sure, come in. We'll talk about Jesus. I was like, I'm already going to a church, but why not?
Yeah.
So I talked to them, and but then it was a genuine thing. Then I started meeting with they have like sister missionaries who are female missionaries. I met with them, I prayed, I fasted, and it honestly felt like the right thing for me. And that's why I did. And, I still have family I have family members who joined the church after me, and, it's been really great for them. They've
and they're still in
the church.
Interesting. But they don't hold it against you for getting out?
Getting out.
Well, I don't know.
It's not like I don't think of it as a cult any more than another religion, but
no, I'm not trying to imply that by any means, but
it's
for no longer choosing to follow or whatever you want to.
I'm sure maybe there was some disappointment, but no.
I wonder how many more people would be Mormons right now if they had only sent out hot Mormon recruiters.
It works.
Yeah, you let them in the house because of that at least. But okay, the thing about Mormons though, I feel like probably a lot of people don't know that much about Mormons, including myself, and I've only ever heard something about underpants. There's like magic underpants in the story.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess like any religion, a lot of religions have symbols, and theirs happens to be under their clothes.
But there was a guy, right? Yeah. Like, can you give me the Cole's notes on just what they believe? Because there's a guy, right, in the 1800s or something.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not the best person to even say. It's been so long. But yeah, they believe that prophets still exist because so back in the day there's all these prophets, right? There's like Jesus, and then there's Muhammad and and so Mormons actually believe that they were prophets, and there are still prophets in this modern day. Okay. And Joseph Smith, the founder,
guy, yeah.
was one of them, and so he came out with the Book of Mormon, and
he found some golden tablets or something, I thought.
Yeah, and translated them. So
Crazy.
I mean, that's the belief.
Yeah, I've never really delved into it too deep. I've just heard kind of like,
Yeah, I'd say their beliefs are quite similar to just any religion as far as, because they do still follow the Bible.
Base. Yeah.
Yeah, they still use the Bible. Yeah, along with the Book of Mormon. But they are like, it's just then cultural and structural differences. It's a very practice what you preach, very disciplined. There's a lot of like, if you're part of the church, you get a calling, and that could take several hours a week.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, up to several hours a week if you have a higher calling.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's just different in that way. Like, I think it's great for people who really like that structure.
Mm-hmm. But I always wonder with that structure, like, is it just a way of not facing realities to a degree? Like, and not just Mormons, but like anyone that clings to a religion, like where it's like their whole existence. And I just wonder, like, is it because you're afraid to think about like reality as what it might be, other than this one little thing that you've sort of like locked yourself into believing to be true? You know what I mean? I feel like it's naive to come to this planet and be born into this earth and not hear out a bunch of religions and kind of consider the whole spectrum, as opposed to just being like, especially it's unfair when little kids are just indoctrinated by their parents or whatever, where it's like, coming to church, Jimmy, and then you're kind of just like, what are you going to do, right? It's your parents, they're bringing you, you're forced to, and your brain is like a little sponge at that age, so you kind of suck it all in, Well,
you're taking in something no matter what, so eventually you'll be able to choose.
Yeah, exactly. When you're grown up, I only say this because I went to Catholic school from kindergarten until grade 8, and I find that it definitely did have effects on me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I have some of that Catholic guilt for sure. Mm-hmm. Feel like Jesus is watching you, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not even like Catholic. Why do I care? So it's just one of those things I think is kind of strange. I think kids should maybe have to be at least teenagers before you bring them to church. Like, it should be their decision. Like, hey, I've done the research. I want to get baptized. I want to come into the fold, you know, as opposed to just being like told to. I don't know.
Make it complicated on Sundays. It's like, kids, you're staying at home. We're going to church.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe that's not the best idea. I kind of understand why you bring your kids, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just seems like a bit of a flawed system. So being Mormon, though, if you had married someone that wasn't Mormon, would they have given you shit? Like, did you have to marry someone?
Shit. You didn't know. I mean,
It's not a hard rule.
No, the thing is, like, if you're an upstanding member of the church and you marry someone within the church who's also an upstanding member, then you can get married in the temple.
Oh.
And that's where they have
the
like
perks.
their special ceremonies, and there you can be married for eternity. So that's like,
So everybody else isn't married for eternity if they're not. That's harsh. Till death do we part. Not.
yeah. But it's like, actually, I think that the other people have the better end of the deal, because eternity is a long time, right?
Yeah. Honestly, shit, man. Eternity is fucking crazy. When you actually just wrap your mind around that concept of eternity, no matter what you equate it to, like I've done both where I'm thinking like, okay, imagine you go to heaven, but imagine being there forever. Like, wouldn't you just get bored at some point and be like, all right, I have everything I could ever want?
Yeah, even the, 26 virgins or whatever, would that be? It's not enough for eternity.
Like, yeah, how much sex can you have before you're like, all right, I need a break or whatever? Like, it just, the idea of this paradise, if anything, it feels like it would be even easier to get bored in heaven because there's no struggle. There's no anything to overcome. It's just like, oh, everything's great all the time. Like, fuck, kill me now. Oh, wait, I'm already dead. Like,
yeah.
And then the other alternative is the atheist way, where it's like, when you're dead, you're just dead and you're never going to do anything ever again, ever, ever, ever. That fucks with my head, man, when I think about that. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes it hard to like have hope.
Yeah, it makes me understand why people seek out religion and something that promises more, another around the corner, there's something else, but
they say that's one of the remedies to a midlife crisis is actually taking up religion.
Yeah, like the born again Christian kind of thing, where they're like, get back to your roots. And
yeah, because the part of the midlife crisis is the realization that you're going to die, that your life is almost, it's half over. And so that, but
she
people...
looks at my dad, she's like, he's got a little less time.
I thought I saw him nodding, that's why.
Oh no, I'm just...
But yeah, so they actually say that one of the things that helps is to become religious.
I think that a lot of people do that, and maybe not full on join a religion, but I definitely have thought a lot more about just death in general and getting older and like, what do I believe in? And just trying to do more good things, trying to like put good stuff into the world. And even just doing the podcast, I'm like, okay, well, if I can do something that I enjoy doing and maybe someone else is going to enjoy it or learn something from it, at least that's sort of a good thing to put in the world. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't like cure cancer or anything, but everybody can try and help in their own way to like put more positive out there than negative, And as far as I can tell, that's the only religion at this age that I'm willing to like sign up for. It's just like, don't be an asshole. Like, be a good person. I went to the fucking gas station last night, and I'd been running around doing so many things, and it was like, go get toilet paper and pick up whatever fucking thing we needed. And I go in there, and I bought papers too, because I was out of papers. And the dude, he said, he was like an Indian guy, and he said, you keep weed? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Do I keep weed? And I figured out he was asking me if I had any weed. And I was like, oh, dude, you can buy it in the store now. But he said, no, I'm working long hours, whatever. So I fucking, even though I was exhausted, I came home and I put some different kinds of weed in a bag, and I just went back and gave it to him. And he couldn't even believe that I was just giving it to him for free.
Just gave it to him.
Yeah, he was like, I can send you Interac. I'm like, no, man, it's all good. Just get high. That whole idea of like, pay it forward, just do something nice. And then when that person's like, really? You go, yeah, but just do something nice for someone else with the same kind of, no expectations and just that hope that they're going to perpetuate the niceness,
Yeah, Jesus fed the people with bread and fish, and you're giving them weed. Yeah. Nice. It's a modern day miracle.
Weed is in the Bible, apparently, too. I don't know.
I've heard, that's the theory.
Or some plant that they think was cannabis, probably.
The oil,
yeah,
I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Some
CBD
sort of CBD oil or,
Yeah.
Jesus was in the know. Oh my God. I was totally just going to say something, and I totally forgot. Feeding the masses. It was when you said something about Jesus, I was going to go on this tangent.
Maybe
weed.
better that you don't.
Weed sabotaged me. Shit. Oh, okay. So I was going to ask, though, why the change then? If you were married and really religious, like, what was the shift? What took you out of that?
Yeah, after a couple of years, I think I knew I just wasn't as into the church culture because when I joined the Mormon LDS church, I was young single, and they actually had a young single adults, what they call ward, which is like a congregation. And so it was like a congregation of all people around my age, up until like 19 to 30.
Okay.
And they were all not married. So it just had a different energy, of course.
Definitely, yeah.
Younger people tend to be, even in religion, more open-minded. There was just a different energy, different vibe. It was more fun, to be honest. And when I got married and I started going to the regular church, first of all, I was like, there were some things that obviously I didn't believe. The core thing is the beliefs. That's the important thing. But the culture is a big thing too. And I was like, I don't identify with this church culture. It felt very stale.
So which things mainly were you finding it hard to wrestle with, sort of?
Well,
Are they sticklers for no sex before marriage and that kind of shit?
Oh, yeah, which I abided by, and then I got married. That's why I got married young.
Fair enough.
Why Mormons get married
young. Fair enough, yeah.
But there was like a closed-mindedness and like a rigidness and kind of this sense that your whole life is laid out for you as well. And part of that was being married so young, of like, whoa, I know exactly what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the trajectory of my life since leaving the church, I traveled so much and I'm very much like a creative person. And in the church, there's kind of, you don't have to do anything, but if you're not married at 25, people are going to be like,
something's
you
wrong
start
with you.
Thinking about being married, don't travel so much. You got to, so marriage
Very
and
limiting,
family is the main thing. And also, yeah, the undergarments I found very intrusive. And again, that's...
Oh, wait. So sorry, I don't know. I just knew I thought there was a magical underwear and that was part of the story, but I didn't know there was something you guys had to do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What do they make
it's something that people don't talk about much. I don't want to be respectful of Mormons because I know it's
I'm not in no
way
way trying to shit on them. I'm just literally curious. I don't know.
No. So, but being respectful of, I feel like it's just a symbol of a religion. So the undergarments are a symbol, just like the hijab or anything else. For me, I just didn't believe in them enough, in their sacredness enough.
What are they though? They're golden or no?
No, they're just like...
It's just regular underwear.
They're like...
I have to Google this now.
Yeah, y'all can look it up. I don't want to get too much into it, but
no, for sure.
For a woman especially, they were like very much more intrusive than for a man because they're just like kind of big and uncomfortable. And there were reasons behind them, but anyway, I didn't believe in the reasons, and I was like, I hate these things, and it just made me feel very restricted and.
Totally. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think that what you were saying too, that people who get married young, I think that happens a lot where they feel like, oh, okay, I'm married, I have a kid now, like this is my whole life, like, and I'm only 25 or whatever. It feels like just not right. You want to go and live your life and travel and do all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people that get married young end up in that situation where they kind of feel like trapped,
Yeah. Because you don't know anything else when you're that young. So we'd moved, I was married in Ottawa, and then we'd moved to Victoria, and I went to school there, and I was, taking creative writing. And I remember just thinking in my creative writing class, like I had this realization, I'm a grown woman and there's so much that I didn't know. Like I was really so sheltered, and I don't want to be in this life anymore. And part of being a grown up is, you take responsibility for the decisions you made.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to change something, change it. So I did. And that's difficult at that age.
I was just going to say that must have been really scary to do, because not only are you then ending a marriage, but you're also ending your marriage to the church at the same time, like double whammy, so and one led to the other, or I'm guessing
I was just ready to leave both. Like it just
might as well rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I was already I think I had stopped going to church for like maybe a month beforehand, or stopped wearing the garments.
You just weren't feeling it. You knew it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then the husband must have stayed in the church, or no?
Yeah. I'm sure he's still.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't keep tabs on him, like.
No, not really. But you hear through the grapevine, and I think he's happily remarried and has his dream life, right? And I have my dream life.
What's your dream life then? Yeah, what are you kind of aspiring? I mean, I know you like to do comedy, and you seem like it's just into a lot of things and very talented in a lot of ways. But like, what's your?
I think what I'm doing now, but bigger and better.
Nice.
I really love what I do, and I've been lucky to have a lot of success with that. So right now, I'm really focused on working one-on-one with.
Good Lord, that's my phone. Hold on a second. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Right now, my business is kind of, I'm focused more on working one-on-one with clients as opposed to like growing and having like more followers and stuff. So that I actually can give more creative energy to stand-up, because stand-up is where I have like a big vision of, within a year, I definitely want to start doing corporates.
Nice.
So I've started writing all clean material.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't go super dirty, but I always like talk about boners and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Is that allowed at a clean gig, or does it have to be like super PG?
No, I don't think the boner jokes are generally what they want for like corporate events.
It's okay. The word corporate makes me go, ugh.
I know.
I know that's how you make the money though.
But so far I've actually really enjoyed it, because a lot of my whole set got really dirty for a while, because my best jokes were really dirty, and I still like those jokes. But I started writing a lot about my family and being raised by a single mom.
Nice.
And I'm really liking writing about that, actually.
It's nice to have both to be able to pull from too, right? Like if you're doing a show where everybody's doing blue material, then you can jump on, or you can go to do the corporate thing. That's really cool.
Because there are some times when you're like, these people don't want dirty jokes, right? Like, especially some smaller show at a coffee shop or something, and you're like, okay, Mildred in the front who's 70, she doesn't want to hear about my vagina. So
dude, I can relate. Oh my god, I did a set where I was like the feature, whoop-de-doo, and I did like 15 minutes, and I wanted to get off stage so bad because they just weren't feeling it. And I don't know, maybe I wasn't on that night, but I was singing songs about furries and doing jokes about like fleshlights and shit like that. And it was at a curling club in Renfrew for like 12 people, and like 8 of them were like over the age of 60. So it was like, oh man, it's hard when you like know the audience isn't digging you, but you have to finish anyways. It's like, good Lord.
It's probably like that for men a lot in the bedroom, right? Lady's not digging you, but you're going to finish anyways.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I always make sure they're satisfied. No, I don't know. I don't know how to respond.
It's so easy to make dirty jokes. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's low-hanging fruit for sure.
But that's why now I'm writing completely clean, because then your mind doesn't go there. Because I find if you're writing dirty, your mind just goes there immediately. Mm-hmm. But if you're writing clean, then it's like, you just automatically start to have to think, okay, what's the other angle?
I generally don't feel super comfortable telling really, really dirty shit either. The same reason I don't talk about like race. I don't usually talk about like sexuality. I don't like the idea of like someone in the audience being legit bummed out by what I said, or being like pissed off or whatever. I'm not one of those people that I really want to rock the boat and upset somebody, So I find that part of comedy pretty hard. And I went and did a show in Montreal at, shout out to Matt Shuri. He has a show called Showpartment, where it's like in his apartment.
I've heard of it.
It was very fun. It was a cool time. I'm not going to fucking name the guy's name because I don't know him that well, and he'll probably never fucking hear this. But there was a guy who went on that night as like the feature in the apartment, and he was just so raunchy and so like, it was like douchey 80s guy stuff where like every fucking joke was like, yeah, when you got your fucking dick all up in a chick's face, and like every fucking joke. And like all the women in the audience were just like silently cringing, and the guy didn't pick up on any of that. He just kept fucking powering through, and it was just like made me so uncomfortable. Like as a guy, I hate that like locker room talk. I don't know. I've never been that kind of guy. It just feels like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the big part of that is reading the room and having enough material.
Exactly.
That you can do something else if they're not into it.
Yeah, he did like one joke about a guinea pig at the very end of the set, and I was like, buddy, you lost them a long time ago. Like, I don't know, not to hate on this guy. Maybe he's got a different set that's fucking hilarious. But for me, I hate when people lean into that just dickhead culture of just being like, I don't know, I fucking always hated guys like that personally. I never got along with them. They always made me feel like some kind of fucking sissy because I wasn't an asshole who needed to be all bravado all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't stand like chest puffing bullshit. I worked in security too for like 10 years, and there was a lot of that. A lot of like just people who small man complex where they have to constantly like respect my authority kind of shit. It drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I was going to say there's one thing that we've been asking people because we have the nerd wall of inspiration. Sorry, I'm getting too far from the mic here. But yeah, if you could have any superpower, specifically one superpower, not like a character that you want to be, what would that be and why? It's proven to be pretty interesting when we've asked people this.
I would want to be able to absorb people's knowledge and skills.
Ooh, that's a cool
Yeah,
one.
because then you could learn any instrument or any language. That's a big thing.
That would be really sweet, but only if you had the ability to like absorb the knowledge without like taking all their memories at the same time. I wouldn't want to carry people's like baggage and fucking emotional. It's like, oh great, you know how to speak Swedish, but now I have to have like your fucking divorce in my head or whatever, you know.
No, you'd lose it pretty fast. No, just the knowledge of the skill itself.
Do you speak multiple languages now or?
No, and that's why I've been meaning to become fluent in Spanish for a long time. But I just kind of know the basics.
I actually want to learn Spanish too. I have no real reason to. I just think it's a cool language. It's used in a lot of fucking places, like more than probably any other besides English. I would say it's. I would
think maybe what
else would
the
be up
languages
there?
they speak in India, just because there's so many people.
Well, and same thing goes for like China, like Mandarin and Cantonese. I'm sure there's a lot of people speaking that too. Yeah.
But not here.
No, exactly. Yeah. Let's talk dating. There we go. Because then I can edit it easily, you know. Yeah. So dating. Actually, that is a perfect question because you're now single. You're in your 30s now. Mm-hmm. So what's that like? I've heard you talk about this in comedy a bit, but.
Yeah, I do. It's been a great source of material. Yeah. So I've been dating. I actually went to I gotta say, sometimes you do things and you think this no matter what happens, this could be good material, this could be, I could learn something, whatever. Basically what I'm saying is I tried speed dating.
Oh really? Interesting. I've only ever seen that in movies, like.
Yeah.
And
it was one of those things where you go and you're kind of scared of bumping into someone. It's like if you bump
I didn't even think of that.
If you bump into someone at the dollar store and you're like, I don't usually come here. I'm just
you're
I'm
getting
just here
all
for the
your
pens.
stuff.
I don't grocery shop here. But it was kind of that.
Nothing wrong with the dollar store. I go to Valley Village all the time, man. You get some sick clothes there.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. But once I was there, it was fine. I'm pretty used to putting myself out there with stand up and just different things.
And it's short, right? You get to keep switching. Or like, how long do you have to sit and talk with someone before they switch you to somebody else?
They start off with an icebreaker. And so you do this game, you answer some trivia type stuff with a partner. Okay. And then you move into the speed dating, which I thought was going to be 2 minutes. Thank goodness it wasn't, because that would have been extremely stressful. It was 6 minutes per person.
That's nice. You get a little more time to kind of, you know, discuss something. Yeah, 2 minutes would have been.
Oh, yeah. And you really get a feel for someone in 6 minutes. I think if you can read people well.
Yeah, you get an empathetic kind of vibe off someone. I'd say that's long enough.
Yeah, and I'm definitely someone who's like, I'm all about energy. I'm actually, we didn't talk about that, but now I'm very much more like a new age type. That's my belief system is. Okay. I'm not like into crystals yet, but a
Reiki.
I do them. I'd be down for some Reiki. I think I have had it done to me, but I'm not like, I don't perform Reiki. I'm not that.
If it was covered by benefits, I'd do it. I'm not going to pay for that shit. But like, I try not to like, besmirch anyone's beliefs. Like, and it can't hurt usually in those kind of situations. I figure why not? Like, give it a shot.
Why not? Yeah.
Acupuncture was one of those things. I throw out my back every couple of years. Not as much anymore because I've been trying to do stuff at the gym to like strengthen that area. But one time I just destroyed it where for like 3 days I'm walking like on a 90-degree angle like an old man. And they asked me after cracking my back and doing some things if I wanted to do the acupuncture. And I was like pretty freaked out because I don't know, if you've never had it, it's kind of intimidating sticking needles in you, right? But it was really cool. Like when they hit the right spot and it feels like you're almost on a drug or something, it releases some sort of endorphin or I don't know. Maybe it was just the relief from the pain that he was giving me, but it was really weird. And yet another one that he put in, I had to tell him to take it out because it was like really uncomfortable. So
yeah, I've had it once and I couldn't tell. I was really young and healthy at the time and I felt pretty good overall. So I was like, I don't know if this is doing anything. But yeah, my point was that I'm like pretty into energy and I feel like I can get a good read on people's, and that's what I'm looking for. I don't like I wasn't interested in, grilling them on their profession or their dreams and goals.
Exactly,
I just really just wanted to get a feel for people if they're like an open-minded person,
decent, like
kind. You can tell
for sure,
a lot. And I felt like 6 minutes you can get that. I definitely did, and I did have like I matched with one person. I put down one person, so I could tell like, okay, this person's like got a good vibe. I don't know if it's like.
But you were ready to learn more.
I was ready to learn more. It's enough for that, right? But then there was also one person who was a complete dick and really.
Wait, what did he do?
Left a bad taste in my mouth. He was unfortunately one of the last people that I sat down with. And he was just had a very abrasive energy, like a very dominant, abrasive. Like he kept coming at me with the questions really rapid fire. And when people are like that, I find like I just naturally it's kind of like Star Trek invisible shields up, you know, nerdy reference for you.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So he was like, he asked me what I did. And I said, oh, I work with introverts. And he's like, are you an introvert? And I said, yes. And he's like, oh, introverts helping introverts. That's interesting. Like very condescending. And
mocking you,
yeah. And just like, you seem very serious. He said that. And I was thinking like, yeah, because I don't like you.
Yeah, because you're being an asshole. Exactly.
You're being a dick.
Good
and I'm just not I wasn't enjoying the interaction. But he's like, you seem very serious. Do you consider yourself a warm person? Which is a very, again, like
weird question
kind
to ask
of a
someone.
neg, like it's
exactly
implying that I'm not a warm person.
Yeah.
And I was like, around people that I connect with or.
Oh man, I would have just flat out been like, you're being a dick right now.
And then he said, I don't think we're a good match. We're not a good match. Obviously, we're not a match. I'm like, I'm like, yes, but you don't say that.
That has no form. Oh my God.
It was just
that's so
the most obnoxious, horrible. So that, like, other than that, I would definitely recommend it. Try it out. It wasn't a bad experience other than that.
It seems like one of those things that people just have to get over the initial like feeling embarrassed about doing it in the first place and then just go. I mean, I think it sounds like you were fun. If I was single, I would probably think it would be a good time. I don't know. It's funny though, because when you said the 6 minute thing, like you need that length, I was actually thinking until you said it with that dude that 6 minutes could be too long if you really want to fucking get away from the dude, you know?
That's a good barometer is if it feels like a long time, it's
like,
not the right person.
It's been like 20 minutes. Yeah. So, but you at least matched with someone, sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these dogs are driving me insane. Like how does this compare to like Tinder?
I've given up on Tinder. Tinder, what I usually do is open it up, swipe a bit, and then delete it for a few months. That's because. And
I think a lot of people actually do that, reinstall and try again. Oh my God, this dog is driving me fucking bonkers. Oh my God. Sorry. I don't know how much of it's going to be picked up, but Tinder, I think a lot of people actually do kind of just fucking delete it when they get embarrassed or when they've had enough bad experiences and then they.
Yeah. Well, I just have had enough with, it's not filtered and people don't write stuff. So you're just getting, you can choose the age and the, where you're close to the range, but, other than that, you're just getting anyone, right? You're just swiping through anyone and they could write nothing. Whereas I'd rather just do like a more, a site like even Plenty of Fish, which I know people make fun of. And, but you can find someone better on there because there are people who have to fill stuff out.
Yeah. It's more of a full profile on someone as opposed to just like a picture or whatever.
Yeah. And they even just seeing when people say, they want a relationship or they want dating but nothing serious or casual, like that eliminates a lot. It's like, thank you. I don't have to waste my time.
And then there's like Bumble too, right?
Bumble. And now the new thing is Hinge. But I have to say that I was in Toronto for the fall and I did go on a Tinder date with one person who was amazing. Actually, I have met amazing people. It just hasn't been like a connection for me, like a romantic connection.
Yeah.
But really great guy. So, I think it has to do, because I believe in like energy and what you put out there attracts certain things. So I think it has to do with whatever state of mind you're in and whatever like attitude you have, then it doesn't really matter what you choose. Mm-hmm. Like open up the channels, whatever they are.
Yeah, if you're on the right wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I feel like sometimes I meet people and like right away I just get like a weird vibe. Like, and usually, or a lot of the time it turns out to be right, you know? Mm-hmm. But I try not to get too stubborn with that kind of thing because I've had the opposite happen too, where I paint someone completely the wrong way and then I get to know them a little better and I'm like, oh shit, I'm the asshole who totally just like assumed you were, you know, sometimes your radar's off and I don't know.
That's true.
I've had both happen. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Shit. Well, honestly, I think that's it, man. The dog just fucking is driving me nuts. On top of that, he's probably going to start up anytime and I don't have much else to say, but definitely awesome time talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And yeah, that's it. We usually high five at the end. Boom. Cool.